And it's not just the monetary system that is the problem. The monetary system is the head of the snake, of course, but the human race is being attacked on many other levels, such as we are seeing with Bill S-510, which they are still attempting to get passed through the House. This bill has the potential to put a complete stop to people growing food at home, put a complete stop to seed banking, heritage seeds. You won't be able to give your neighbour a tomato over the fence, because that tomato will have to be approved by the FDA. And again, all of these things are being put in place via the means of a fictional system. Rules and regulations that restrict the ability of human beings to be human beings, and yet these rules have nothing to do with the empowerment of humanity. They have nothing to do with reality. They are fictitious rules that only exist on paper. Now, ever since I began talking to you on the radio 2 years ago, I've often talked to you about energy. Some people might say that I have a New Age perspective, but it's not true. What I try to present to you is an understanding of the universe from basically a scientific perspective, and it's an understanding that I've come to mainly through meditation. I've had certain meditations, and then I've started looking for explanations to some of the experiences I've had in meditation in the world around me, and what I've found is the work of people such as Bruce Lipton and Nassim Haramein and other scientists who have clearly explained the things that I experienced in meditation. And it's given me an understanding of what the universe is made of, how the universe works, and how we interact with the universe. And all I can do is offer you this perspective, and I do so because having this perspective has provided for me a method of removing fear from my psyche. I mean, sure, I still have dark moments. We all have dark moments. We all have moments of anger. We all have moments where we get heated, moments where we get carried away. Everybody does it. There's nothing unusual with that. It's called being a human being. You should always embrace and experience these emotions when they arise. But basically, when I talk about energy, what I'm mainly talking about is the removal of fear from your life, because it is fear that keeps the human race in this state of separation, and it is this separation that makes the human race so easy to control. Now, everything that's about to happen with the financial system, everything that's about to happen with the whole global economic collapse that is coming, all of this is, as I said, designed to transfer all wealth to those who issue the money, but it's also designed to generate fear. And if you can see what's coming, then you can see that all the human race has to do to survive any financial crash is to realize that the system is fictional and to build community. Building community is the only way to deal with any problem that we face, because the most important currency people are going to have through any type of crash is friendship. And look, I'm not suggesting that everybody gets lovey-dovey or anything like that. I'm simply pointing out that what we need is solidarity. We need people to understand that all of this massive amount of debt that the world is in to the World Bank, it's all fiction. It doesn't exist. It's a private system that's been designed to do this. So we can eliminate all of that debt simply by realizing that it's fiction. And I would also suggest that the assets of all of the shareholders of the World Bank and IMF be immediately seized so that these assets can be used to rebuild the third world countries and war zones around the world that have all been created by these people. Now, folks, this is what's happening to the world. What we are seeing is a hostile takeover of the world, its resources and its people by a small banking cartel. They are taking over the world on paper, and they are taking over the world with paper. It's quite remarkable, really, that they are able to do this when you look at what reality actually is. And yet these people have created a world that exists only on paper, and through the manipulation of the human belief system, they are on the verge of gaining possession of anything of any value that exists within the real world through manipulation of a fictional world that they've tricked people into believing is real. And when you can fully grasp the way they've done this, as I pointed out to you earlier, it's very easy to see why Christ overturned the tables of the money changers and why he then became such a threat to the powers that be. The usury-based monetary system, the methodology behind fractional reserve banking, and the practice of adding interest to not only the loans but to the money itself, is without a doubt the most corrupt, inhumane and dishonest system that has ever been perpetrated against the human race. And we are indeed on the verge of witnessing its magnificent finale, should we allow this travesty of justice and of sanity to continue. It's amazing, really, that there would be anyone within our society that supports such a system of slavery, and yet our politicians appear to do so. Our politicians appear to very much work for this international banking cartel. It's obvious to see that they do, due to their failure to disclose the information concerning this monetary system to the general public. And when you understand the true implications of this, how this system is designed to eventually transfer all wealth into the hands of a corporate-run government and enslave and impoverish the people, and you begin to realize how close this cabal is to actually pulling this off, then it becomes apparent how urgent it is that the human race wake up to reality and unite around the world in a peaceful act of non-compliance to this corporate system and to any artificial debt that is owed to the World Bank or the International Monetary Fund. A united act of global non-compliance would work wonders, ladies and gentlemen. It would be better than protesting against what's going on. It would be better than buying up silver and attempting to crash the banking system. A lot of people are wishing to crash the banking system, and all I can say to these people is, then you had better have a good supply of food stored somewhere and have a good garden growing ready for the crash of the system. And you would be well advised to have also established a strong currency of friendship within your community. And for people who also say we need to go back to a gold standard at the moment, well, that's all very well, but if we were to go back to a gold standard right now, well, who's got all the gold? Because it would appear the answer to that question is the same cartel who currently holds all the money. Sometimes it's the devil in the details that we just fail to take into account. The society that we have is not yet completely lost. Our society is still repairable. But this restoration of our society and this restoration of our freedoms can only occur if people consciously choose to make that decision. The best way to make that decision, the best way to see how obvious this choice must be, is to understand what reality is. I know I keep coming back to this, folks, but when you understand this, and when you can see the connection between yourself and your neighbours, the barriers break down. And it is by establishing this connection that the people gain the strength to stand up against the system in a peaceful, non-violent manner. We can simply stand up and walk away. It's so simple that people just can't see it. If people understand the connection that we have to each other, and they establish a connection with the people around them simply by helping the people around them, then it would suddenly become very easy to meet this system head on and to come out the victors. But should we fail to take the opportunity that all of this corruption provides for us, the outcome could well be very different. But the good part about it, ladies and gentlemen, is the choice of what that outcome will be ultimately lies with us. And I believe that when push truly comes to shove, the human race will make the right decision. Well, I think it's break time now, ladies and gentlemen, so I'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much for spending this time with me today, and I'll return in a few minutes. Thanks for listening. Welcome back, folks. When you see all of these laws being put in place, when you see full body scanners and pat-downs at airports, when you see raw food stores being raided by police with guns drawn, when you see the FDA seizing health supplements and raw cheese from people, it's extremely important to understand that these things are being perpetrated against you. All of these devices that have been put in place, all of these systems of control that have been put in place, these are all being put in place to control you. All of the people that are going through these scanners, all of these people subject to these pat-downs, all the people that have been picked up in the government's rendition programs that have been taken overseas and dropped in jails God knows where, all of the people who have lost their houses and been forced to go and live in tents because they've been unable to pay the fictitious interest on a fictitious mortgage. Any one of these people could be you, because there is no division among any people. You see, that's the thing, folks. It doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're poor. The system is designed to eat up your wealth either way. It just starts at the bottom. If you're a poor person, then you're easy prey. You end up on the street first. But as the currency gets more and more devalued, it doesn't matter how much you've got. Eventually, it all ends up going into the hands of those who issue the money. That's just the way it works. Under the current system, ultimately, the only people who get to own anything are those who issue the money. So this makes you wonder why the government supports these people. This makes you wonder why the police support the laws that these governments are putting in place, because ultimately they get eaten up as well. They can't survive in the system that they are creating. Their children won't be able to survive. Their families won't be able to survive. As I said, the only people who ultimately come out on top are those who issue the money. And this is solely because the currency that we have in circulation in our countries at this present time is a privately run, profit-based currency where the very money itself is based on interest-bearing debt. Now, when you first hear about all of this information, when you first see what's being done to the world and you see what's happening, you learn about the monetary system, the whole lot, it can be quite overwhelming. You think, well, wow, now I know all this. What can I do about it? And yet, the answer has always been there for all to see. All through history, all the great teachers have always told people to look within, to follow the path of the heart. All have said that once you find your heart, you'll find your way. And it is through finding the path of the heart that you can change the world. But what is the path of the heart? Well, as I believe I've said to you before, what does the heart do? What does your heart do in your body? It doesn't just pump blood around. It doesn't just generate an electromagnetic field. What it does is it gives unconditionally to the environment in which it lives. It gives unconditionally to your body. It gives life to everything in your body. It never asks for anything in return. It simply gives. It gives all of its energy to keeping the rest of your body alive. And in return, the rest of your body keeps it alive. And it also works to keep itself alive just as much as it keeps the rest of the body alive. If every person on the planet gave all of their energy with the intention of keeping the human race and the environment and the planet and themselves alive, where would the problem lie?